For women who were as big as couches. I mean, they just did not care. Now, my question is this. Today, at this, point in my life, I really don't want to share like how I did. I just say, go to my book, read my book, because I'm worn out. How do you not get worn out? Because I'm a warrior, but I'm worn out because today at BAM, Brooklyn Academy of Music, I'm using the bathroom, I take off my jacket, this woman says, oh my God, I love your muscles. I said, well, I worked really hard, blah, 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 blah. Then she goes, well, did you become anorexic first? I mean, I get all kinds of stuff thrown at me. How do I stay focused? How do I have faith in my people? Because I want my people to, come up and do whatever. But I'm telling you, sometimes it is so tough. I'm like, you know what? Read my book.
I think that all of us are in the trenches, and on different levels. Like I said, I always try to think about whose shoulders I stand on. And I think God, Harriet didn't get too tired, And I think it takes a great effort. And I think a lot of it is a psychic injury. I know we do need to take care of ourselves. And I want us to learn how to embrace and love each other and be patient with each other. And to understand how, I want to say this because it's very important, what we do to each other with words.
Yes.
You see, we have, and I want to say just very quickly about men and women in particular, we're both in the rifle sights all the time. And I am in the book. I've actually written the book. I'm at this point shopping and looking at getting it published. But the book speaks to these kinds of things. And one of them is to see how we have exacerbated each other. What we've done to survive. And there's nothing like a black woman's tongue. It is how we've learned to fight. It is our weapon. Safe place to vent. So who are you going to vent at? That's a safe place for me to vent. And she's going, oh no, I don't think so. That's not going to happen. And then we lacerate him. And the very thing that we use to lacerate each other with, his dominance and her aggression, is the antithesis of what either of us can take. And so what we do is we destroy each other in an act of trying to survive. And we have to be very, very careful, because as tough as we are with lacerating, we can't take it. Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. We can't take it. And so it's something that we have to learn in terms of how to talk to each other, how to be loving and to be patient with people. Folks got issues. Anybody here undefeated? Okay, then ain't nobody here made it nowhere. I know I can't say I'm undefeated. So I think we're pretty hard on each other, and we gotta learn to give some room, because we are really fragile people. Okay, so you need to take care of you, and at the same time you have to be forgiving, and you have to understand that our ancestors and everyone. I want you to imagine not even Harriet. I want you to imagine the slave at year 150. Okay, and what they believed. Okay, so we've got, I don't know, I know we have a right to be tired, but I can't complain too much, I don't think. So I'm saying that, yeah, it's going to take more, and unfortunately that's what it's called for. All of us going to be tired, but it'd be nice if we have more folks working. That'd be nice.
Thank you.
First,
okay, we're going to end at 4:30, and someone asked me how much the tapes were. They're $10. There's a one-sided CD with post-traumatic slave syndrome. Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for your lecture. My name is Lori Jones. My question is, when you talked about the mother preparing the child and you mentioned the father not being helpless, I had heard a doctor that talked about the fact that black male-female relationships may have a separation based on the fact, post-traumatic slave syndrome, where the male and the female had to learn to distance themselves from each other.
Of course, yeah.
Because they had to make sure that they didn't show affection, because they could use that against each other in terms of punishment, or they could sell them at a moment's notice. Do you feel that acknowledgement of the fact that this exists is enough to repair the relationship, or if something specifically needs to be done?
Oh, no, it's not enough. It's not enough. Telling people about it is the first level. It's giving people permission to take a look at it. It's raising awareness. And often I was talking to Onaje, and I want to acknowledge the people in the room that really have been here. Onaje and his wife, Niyamo. I got it right. Niyamo. I get names crazy. And Gil Noble, I know is here. I don't know if Adelaide Sanford made it. My elder and my dear friend and mentor. I don't know. I know Carol was here earlier, but these are the folks that, you know, when I look at talking about what it's going to take, one of the first levels is cathartic. It really is. It's really being able, because if you find out, you know why we always have to tell black people when they get to the mic, please ask a question? You know why we got to tell them that? How many times do you get a chance to get to the mic? You see, and you want to tell your story. You want to be able to say what it felt like. I know that about black people, and I know we don't have all the time in the world, but we've got to understand that the first part of that is awareness. The other is really developing treatment modalities that are culturally appropriate and specific.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sam Salim. I really enjoyed your lecture. In your lecture, you talked about violence and how that related to respect. And the more respect you have, the less violent you tend to be. The question I have for you is, for us as a people, if we stopped identifying with the N-word, do you think that would contribute to less violence amongst our people?
Probably among some of us. I think that we have to know what has gone on. Like, for example, sir, I don't know how old you are. Would you mind telling me how old you are right now?
I'm 59.
You're 59 years old. Do you recall a time when it was inappropriate to call a black man a boy?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I don't care who it was. I know you didn't call my daddy a boy. You didn't do it under any circumstances. It was visceral. It could cause you to lose your life, calling my daddy a boy. And that had to do with the disrespect. Now, everybody says, yeah, I'm with my boys. You know, get your boys. Oh, those are my boys. That's my boy. Do you see what I'm saying? So we're looking at it as a generational thing. The N-word, in my perspective, is not a good thing. Okay. But I also know it as a colloquialism among black youth, hip-hop, a variety of people, they interpret it a lot of ways. I'm looking at the hip-hop generation, which we need to get with. And we need to get with them. And I don't mean in a harsh way, because you know they're surviving. And because of our lack of giving them tools, they figured out their own. And it's a bit aberrant. But they're doing that in face of, you know what, I'm going to make it one way or another. I'm going to get mine. And that's because somewhere along the way, we did not give them the armor to deal with that. Thus, the N-word has become one of those, it's almost a defiance. And it serves to both unite and also alienate, all at the same time. And that is just a reflection of our lack of contact and interaction with a group of folks that say, you know, you ain't helping me survive, I'm gonna make sure I figure it out.
May I see you after the show?
Sure, I'm going to be around.
Okay.
Okay, I have.
Yes. Good evening. I thank you for your lecture. I've been looking forward to meeting you. I heard you on the radio. But anyway, my name is Helen Burrell. I'm from New York City. My title really doesn't matter at this point. But my question is that they use the rationale about blacks selling slaves from Africa and whites selling slaves from Africa. And how do you answer that question? Because somebody's trying to psych somebody out here.
Well, you know, the thing is that there's it's also, I'm going to answer that in a really kind of unique way. You all remember the Million Man March. I remember because of my birthday, October 16th. And one of the things that I noticed, and I was so touched, I was so moved just watching the television. I was just so, I can't just tell you what happened to me physically. It just was wonderful. You know, I didn't care if they were going there to shoot marbles. It didn't matter to me. But before it could even be over, they found black people to berate it. You know, they gave them prime time to dog it out. Always. So you're going to know there's always going to be this diversionary tactics to say this or that. You know, one of the things we have to note, too, that has to be on the agenda, and that is dealing with Africa. Africa was a part of this injury. And I know in Ghana they're trying to do some things, there are brothers and sisters that are going back and forth, and they're saying, you know, we're sorry for what we did. We didn't know. We couldn't know. But whatever the case, we need to own it. That's part of what the issue is. So it's not a matter of us saying it didn't happen. I don't care whether it happened. That's pointless to me. So what? That does not excuse what you did. Okay? And so we can't get distracted by that sort of thing. It's just a diversionary thing that, you know, folks say.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.